I'm going for the caffeine, Matt.
It's going to be one of those episodes.
Absolutely.
That is really good cold brew. It doesn't have any sugar.
This is courtesy of Doug Golubsky.
Oh, Doug, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he the only one that's like still furnishing treats?
By the way, folks, I'm just telling you.
We're not turning the screws.
No, I'm just telling you.
However, we haven't seen a crumb on this table in years.
It just showed up out of the blue. So it's appropriate because Doug is a movie film shooter as well as a still photographer.
Mm-hmm.
Showed up at the 2019 thedarkroom.com Padea in San Clemente, California. So, I mean, I can't say enough good things about Doug because...
It's keeping us up.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
Cold brew, high brew coffee. It's just black and bold. I added some... I call it muola. It's like a non-dairy creamer.
Yeah. I did it straight.
And I added just like half a teaspoon of coconut sugar.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting too old for Mr. Brown. So much sugar in that.
Yeah. No, we're over the Mr. Brown.
I mean,
Doug made a great choice here.
Oh, the perfect choice.
Yeah, because like the palates of Mr. Brown, the fascination is past.
It's all in the past now.
Yes.
I can't push it on anybody anymore. Like no one's drinking it.
Diabetes.
I'm Wilfred Brimley, and I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about diabetes.
Yeah, it happens. You know, it's just it's the aging factor, folks.
Yeah.
It's like you just have to face the facts. You know, when you're 30, you're just burning through just burning through everything, right?
Yeah, just existing. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, Doug, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good choice on the cold brew.
Today we're talking about movie film. It's the first of the month, so you know we're talking about movie film. That's very exciting.
Until we get hated off for doing so many movie episodes.
You know, no, we're not going to get hated off, and I'll tell you why. Because, you know, we're delivering our 15th of the month film photo show.
Okay.
So, like, we're not turning the FPP into a movie film show because we're devoting a special episode at the top of the month to it.
That's not bad then.
You could find Matt and I, Owen, as well as John Fideli on YouTube doing our tutorials and movie film roll reviews. We're going to try to really up that this year.
Yeah, I'm really glad we started doing that because
I think it's a lot of fun.
It's one thing to talk about it, but to show the results, regardless of how good or bad it turned out, it's people always want a visual, especially on like funky film stocks and expired film stocks.
Yep.
It's just a good resource.
It is. Let's open up with a letter.
Yeah.
What
do we got?
On this show, I should say, we're going to be talking about some more Super 8. We're going to talk about the new Orwo UN54 Super 8 film.
Okay.
It's not every day that a new Super 8 film is introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, FPP is the only game in town if you want to buy a roll without buying it from Europe.
And that deals all sorts of stuff with VAT and minimum orders. And
Yeah. So we're carrying it. We're going to carry it as long as people buy it and as long as it's available. I brought in a really small batch. Well, I'll save it for the show. Here's a letter. Let's open up a letter.
All right. Hi, I'm wondering if you might consider putting together a series of basic nuts and bolts videos for your beginner movie film shooters. It might even attract a few new subs. I think it would too. But yeah, Paul he's telling us a little bit about his background. Getting interested in cine film, picking up some Super 8, and just really, really breaking into that, and what type of skills you would need in addition to stills photography to start shooting with movie film. And I mean, really, that's kind of why we're doing these top of the month episodes, right?
It's hand in hand with still photography. I mean, if you're already a film photographer shooting stills, then you have the foundation of information that you need to shoot movie film because the basics are exactly the same. Shutter speed, aperture, ISO. Same combination of choosing that proper combination. And then you have the subset of, is it negative film? Is it reversal film?
Mm-hmm.
Is it color reversal? Is it negative color, but is it tungsten? You start like going down into levels, and it can get really confusing.
Yeah, and you might even focus on one of those things that you forget a really basic part of your exposure, and then it just all gets
So Matt and I Matt and I talk about. I mean, I would love to have an actual physical workshop, like a weekend.
Oh,
basic movie making.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where like everyone gets handed a probably regular 8 camera with, you know, lenses that have apertures and a roll of film. And we go through the basics, and then everyone shoots their movie. And then we get it developed, and then we reveal all of the results and do like a critique.
Yeah. And for the folks at home, this isn't something that me and Mike have just been talking about for now. Like, we were planning all the way up through, I would say, March of 2020. Mike was helping me coordinate with the local Columbus filmmaking group, Mid-Ohio Filmmakers Association. We were planning to do a straight 8 contest where everybody had a Super 8 camera and was to shoot a short film entirely on that one cartridge of Super 8. And it really didn't come together just because lockdown happened and the other life stuff. But that'd be great to get back into that.
Folks have said to us via email and in, letters sent in, hey, why don't you guys have a film festival? I mean, I do think it's a great idea, but it takes organization and, I'm dreaming and thinking about it because I don't have the time right now.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Because you're talking cameras, you're making sure they're all, clean, user-friendly, coordinating films, getting the lab book, on board with it because they're going to have to turn film quickly. So it's a small village that it takes to make that come together. And then it's really for, one day, one weekend. It all happens very quick.
So we have been doing a series of videos. So we do have the bare bones nuts and bolts in video form, but they're not like broken out into courses on the FPP.
No, they're not really like spelled out as, okay, here's part 1,
They're not like, for example, what you did on your YouTube channel with your large format still photography film.
Oh, just like the playlist of here's the basics.
You did you did the episodes, the basics.
Yeah.
And that, guessing, I mean, do you get emails of folks watching those basics?
So the reason I literally started doing those videos is because I was getting the same 2 to 3 emails a week, either one forwarded from FPP and then others that were just asking me because they knew I was doing large format. And it's not that I was like sick of answering the same thing, but there's only so many times you can respond in text and then like some things are lost. It's like, oh, well, let's just make a video playlist. And it really helps. I still get questions, but now it's really great because they're more qualified questions. They're people that have already checked that out.
Right.
They're already at that next level. And I think the most impressive thing about that is many of the people coming up and starting this stuff now, they'll share the first results they've shot. And it's amazing, Mike. Like, I would kill for my first shots to look as good as some of these folks that have used those free resources that are on there. So I definitely see the value in having these episodes and dedicated videos for getting started with this. Cause it's always a nice feeling like somebody's got your back.
Yes.
When you're tackling all this like scary new stuff.
I always send folks to YouTube. I mean, I have a lot of videos that I've already done. So when someone sends me a question, like the general question I receive about movie film is, hey, I just thrifted Yashica T2 regular 8mm camera. What film do I need?
Yep.
So I have the Word document already prepared. Hey, your camera is this. Here's a link to the tutorial.
Oh, nice.
And then it's a list of, for you this, you'll want ISO 40 film. Here's black and white, color. Oh, hey, do you need developed scan services? Yes, here you can go here. So I give them that whole basic letter, and then I say, if you have any questions after watching the tutorial, hit me up.
So, we are running this back around to basics. I think for me personally, moving from a completely stills background to then starting to do a little bit more digital video, and then like film motion being the last like piece of that puzzle. The biggest disconnect is the increasing number of limitations when you move to a motion, like a moving picture. And that biggest limitation in a lot of these cameras is the effective shutter speed. And that is based on really 2 things. What the camera's shutter mechanism is and the frames per second, the rates that it's pulling that film through the camera. That is really limiting your shutter speed. Whatever that combination ends up being, it's usually only 1, 2, maybe 3 potential shutter speeds to then meter from. So effectively, only things you can control if you have it on your camera are aperture and what ISO, film you
ISO.
use. And that's it.
Yes, and these are the foundation of not knowing your shutter speed. If you don't know your shutter speed, you're throwing off your whole if you're using a manual camera, you're throwing off your entire calculation of, I don't care what light meter you have. If you don't know what your shutter speed is,
It's all off, yeah.
everything's out the window. So 16 frames per second is like I always say 1/30th of a second. Close
Pretty
enough.
close.
You don't think
It's usually
crazy.
it's usually double that frame rate number is your shutter speed. Yeah.
If you get to 18 frames a second, then you're at, I want to say around 1/38th or 1/40th of a second.
Yeah, 40th is what, yeah.
And then if you're 24 frames per second, I want to say you're at like
It's 50th.
1/50th of a second.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's it. So if you have a manual camera, movie camera, what is in your power is to control your frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
And that works in coordination with where you're located. So John Fideli was on the beach with a manual 16 millimeter camera, and it was too bright.
Ah, okay.
So he's like, I shot this at 24 because I needed
Cut down the exposure a little
to
bit.
cut down the exposure,
Mhm.
because the frames per second is how 16 frames per second is running through your
Camera. Yeah.
camera. Yeah. So follow this, folks. Let's say I'm at my parents' house for Sunday pasta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I have 40 ISO film. Like, no light panel. I may want to shoot 12 frames per second.
That gets you a tiny bit more light. Yeah.
Gives you the film's getting more exposure, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. You're more of that gate is open for that longer period of time. Yeah.
So the more information you know, you can make these decisions right on the spot,
yeah.
wherever you are, out of necessity. It's sort of like why I get all weirded out and crazy about like pushing film. Like, hey man, I shot my 500T at 3200 ISO. It's like there were reasons to do that, and the reasons to do that were a wedding photographer who's stuck at a wedding,
Yep.
who's shooting 400 ISO, and they go into the hall,
It's dark.
and
yeah.
it's dark, and they want to do some either shots without a flash, or some scenes where they're in a church, and the church will
and they
not
don't
allow a
allow
flash.
anything. Yeah.
So what do you do? So that photographer right there on the spot knows, he's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 400 ISO film.
Underexpose it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to underexpose it, tell my lab, and they're going to, fix it in developing.
Yeah. But knowing when they do that it will not be the same as if they just had that extra light or had a
Right.
faster, if they had the appropriate accommodations.
So when I see that Reddit thread or I see that Facebook thread, what I ask from a practical perspective is, like, yeah, I shot, HP5 at 3200. I ask, why? Why are you shooting HP5 at 3200? Do you have a reason? If you tell me a reason, then I'm cool with that. Hey, it's because I've tried it and I like the way the grain structure is. Okay.
Great.
You
Yeah.
know that you're looking for something very specific.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like getting that from a lot of people. I just think people jump on trends. Now I'm like, like yelling at people. Like, it's like, so the more, let's talk, movie film, the more you know, and it's basic. And I understand it's crazy at first because I was you. It's like, okay, got to get these things under your belt, tungsten film, what filter do you use? You just have to like drill down on these things. And the great thing in 2024 is that all the information is right at everyone's fingertips.
Yeah. It's right. It is right there.
And just make a log. Just start your own Word document of like reasons why you need to use this filter, that filter, ISO, your shutter speed. I mean, write it down. On the bottom of all my cameras, I have tape.
Yeah. There's notes on everything. Folks.
I have white paper tape on all of my cameras with a note on the bottom of what the shutter speed is.
Mm-hmm.
This goes for Instamatic cameras. Like, turn it over. Oh, and it's very important. Like, for example, my Kodak Instamatic 500 camera, turn it over. If I'm going to use the flash, I need to know that I need to 1/30th of a second for the flash to work.
The shutter sync. Yep.
But some other cameras, you need 1/60th of a
It's
second.
all different.
Power is within you, folks.
Yeah.
And you need to harness it. It's like Star Wars. You need to like become one with your camera and your tools in order for you to, deliver results that please you.
So running this back around to kind of the film speed thing, I think the biggest thing that surprised me working with any of this motion film was just how, because of that, the shutter that we talked about and the effective shutter speed being relatively slow, right? If we shot still frames all the time at a 30th of a second, a 50th we'd have a lot of blurry stuff.
Damn right.
But because we are creating the illusion of movement through 18 or 24 or 36 frames a second, we get away with a little bit more of that blur. Sometimes that's better. It looks more natural, that motion. And we generally don't need as much light to make it happen. So films that sounded scary in a 35 millimeter camera, like 64, 50, do I actually want to shoot 50 speed film is like my favorite.
That's what you want.
It looks really clean. And when I'm outside on a sunny day,
that's you want.
Still f/22.
Yep.
That's still so bright. So much light is getting in there. So it's not the same as just shooting stills. And I think that's the hardest thing to translate, because in stills, it's speed, speed, speed.
It's the hardest thing to translate 100%. Like Matt just said, 50 ISO film in your movie camera. You're outside. It's a sunny day. You're at f/22. You have nowhere to go unless you start have NDs.
NDs, and that's a whole nother, yeah.
So neutral density filters. And that is what shooters don't know. And the luxury of shooting Super 8, which is an automatic camera,
just doesn't.
Everyone's reaching for the 500T and they're heading to the beach.
10 stops over.
And the only salvation for your 500T is the fact that it's Vision 3 negative film.
And it can handle it. Yeah.
And the latitude is so good.
I got a little lazy with that too, Mike.
But it doesn't look good. If you shot
That's not the
50D
look.
on the beach.
Oh my God. It's beautiful.
Or Ektachrome 100D on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe we're preaching to the choir right now. Folks listening hey man, I know all this stuff. Hopefully there's some beginners out there to reach for the lower ISO stuff. When I'm looking for new film stocks in regular 8 or 16, I'm looking for 10 ISO.
Oh, so Mike, I sent you that film. I couldn't believe it. It was like partly cloudy. I was shooting in a graveyard in the evening with Yeti.
Yep.
ISO 6.
Yep.
It looks great.
Yep.
There's no grain in that film whatsoever.
Yep.
It's awesome. But yeah, that's the biggest thing to translate when working with these cameras. And now that you've kind of like you've nudged me a little bit more into the Super 8, I'm so used to so many more manual controls. I'm tempted to like take this camera and throw it over to manual. And the first thing you're like is like, no, just leave it on auto.
No, you can try it.
Okay.
As long as you're not shooting like a client job.
Okay. Because really the scariest thing is like it says manual, but I don't know what it's doing.
How accurate? Because like the lenses on Super 8 they're like a diddle stick.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like you just move it a little bit.
It's not like a lens that has an f-stop on it.
It's not clicked on the stop. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
So how accurate is it?
Yeah. So just leave it on auto? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Auto all the way, unless you are doing a test.
Were there Super 8 cameras that had like professional like lenses or lens mounts? Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of them. There may be. I know of no Super 8 camera that has like a lens that screws off.
What about the Kodak? Does the Kodak do that?
Nope.
No, it's fixed on there?
Yep.
Dang. Okay. There must be
I'm trying to think of Kodak. Kodak came in early with their Instamatic Super 8 cameras. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to run and grab one.
Okay,
Because
great.
you must see it. Look at this baby.
Oh my God.
Super 8.
This is not Super 8.
Yep.
This is like a cartridge with a lens on it. How is this Super? Like
So
what?
in the late 60s, early 70s, Kodak came out with a series of Super 8 Instamatic cameras.
How did this not take over the world? This is so small.
It's amazing. And see that thing, that slit on top?
Yes.
That's for your light. So when you shove
you
light
put
in
the
there,
light bar in there. Yeah.
it alters the shutter speed.
Oh, just like the old Polaroid.
Yep.
Oh, wow. And so, wait, this predates that then. This is 60s, you said?
What is that camera called?
This is it's Kodak Instamatic M16. This is so small. Wow. Oh, okay. So this is like some of those other Super 8s we talked about previously where it looks like it only takes like a handful of films.
That's pre XL existing light.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't get a year on it. Oh,
Yeah.
M18. Okay, there's this whole series
Okay.
of Kodak Instamatic. I always forget about the Kodak Instamatic cameras, mostly because in Super 8, I mean, there's their famous ones that they look like binoculars.
Yes.
None of them work because they have a gear in them that's made of plastic that disintegrates.
Oh, it just breaks. Yeah.
Yeah, so this camera, when I mentioned to Owen McCafferty that I had this camera, this came in with a donation, by the way.
Wow.
And it's just that's been sitting on that table for probably 3 years. Owen was amazed that this camera actually worked. He's like, and it works because it may have that same gear problem. But this is like the simplest Super 8 camera you could imagine. Made by Kodak. And of course, because they want you to just drop in the cartridge and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like late 60s, they geared their marketing campaign towards moms.
Makes sense. It's such a compact camera.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally is like...
It was working. The battery's in the right way.
I'm not sure. I heard like a tiny thing when I closed it.
I ran it like a week or so ago.
Yeah, I might have just not run it. Oh, okay. I think I had it backwards.
We just want to hear how this motor whirls, right?
Yeah. So it does say negative on each of those sides. So negative facing the outside, positive facing in. Whoop. You can tell it's an old one because of how they stagger the batteries. A lot of new ones always positive, negative, positive, negative. These older ones usually just line them all up.
I'm guessing this is 68, 69, 1969. Is there an on button?
No, there's like run, continuous, and
Oh,
lock.
I heard something.
Yeah, like I heard one thing. Maybe the contact's just not.
I ran it a few weeks ago. Maybe I killed it. Because what happens is with these old Kodaks is you run it and you're like, oh, it sounds great.
Then you pop your film in.
And then
yeah.
it just, the gear just grinds to a halt.
Oh.
It's not running anymore. Sadly. We have another letter here. And then we'll talk about the new Super 8 film stocks.
Perfect. All right, this is from Jerry Covis. Hey, Shutterbugs. So a friend recently ordered 4 rolls of Cine 8 black and white reversal 40 ISO, and he's having me soup it for him. I had just a few questions regarding this film stock. I'm curious if this film is considered daylight film. My plan is to throw together a makeshift darkroom in my basement where I'll be souping the film in a couple of Tupperware totes. Just seeing if I definitely need total darkness for this experiment or a soft dim light in the distance is okay. I suggested this is all an experiment and we'll treat whatever information you provide as a mere suggestion, and I fully take responsibility for my actions. Wow. That might be the first time I've ever seen that in a letter.
Well, this is someone who's diving in headfirst into a task. So the film he's talking about, Matt, is panchromatic. So do you want to explain what he's saying? Is it daylight?
Oh, yeah. So this being the Cine black and white reversal 40 ISO, which is also the same as the 100 negative ISO film. That is, it's a completely panchromatic. So it is a daylight ready film, meaning you can't use like a weak red safe light.
Nope.
Like you would be able to with an orthochromatic film. But honestly, ortho is, I still am cautious with using light on those unless you really know the stock well. Because not all ortho is going to react the same to a direct or indirect red light. So this means, complete darkness is the way to go. So Jerry, thanks for reaching out. And no, but what I was most surprised about was this. I understand this is all an experiment and we'll treat whatever information you provide as mere suggestion. And I fully take responsibility for my actions.
Oh, I like to hear that.
That's like the most, that's the most responsible, non-accusatory question.
I mean, I always ask a lot of questions.
Just to see where they're at. Yeah.
Because, I mean, talking about developing your own movie film, I mean, I always think, I don't have time always to respond to like start an exchange back and forth, but I do ask the questions like, oh, do you have a movie film developing tank?
Yes, that's a huge part of it. Yeah.
Because folks may not know you need a special development tank. We have a blog, What Tank?
Yep.
He's a novice, so he's saying, hey, he has black and white reversal film.
Yeah.
I don't think he understands, I'm not sure, But I think he doesn't understand that developing this in whatever D76 is going to create a negative. Like, I don't know if folks understand the reversal process.
It's a different process. Yeah.
We have a video also
from Owen. Yep.
And this is actually on our actual website, which is amazing. Thank you to Owen. But those are solid blogs.
They are.
Where he's talking about taking reversal film, which is film that produces a positive image that you could either scan or project.
Mm-hmm.
So many people want to like drag out the old projector.
Yeah, it's fun.
But folks don't understand that, you know, you can't just develop your film like your still photography, black and white film, and get a positive.
No, it'll just be a negative. Yeah.
Reversal film, Matt, after all these years of the FPP, is still like a great big mystery in the sense that, I mean, still to this day, only like DR5, you know, remember.
Oh, he's still making posts.
Yeah, still. Like,
every run's the last run.
There's yes. Every single, and there's only I think of Joby.
Yep.
I can't think of anyone else
I know
who
a couple,
shoots still film.
I know a couple large format guys who do it because it's already a bigger, you know, image, but it's so niche.
So niche.
Yeah. But like, I think the allure of reversal film is stronger in movie because projection makes a little bit more sense.
It's
right?
fun. It's an event.
Exactly. You can kind of gather around it. Like if somebody has a stills projector, you feel like you're a hostage.
Yes.
Getting out the slides.
I personally have not gotten into movie film projection yet. And that's something, you know, that I say, hey, I really should get back into it because it is fun. But just so you know, the reversal process at home it's a
little more involved.
It's really involved.
You have to develop a negative. You have to bleach that back without fixing it. So you have to bleach off the other stuff. Then you expose it to light.
Re-expose it to light.
Re-expose it, redevelop it, and then fix and finish it out.
Black and white. In many respects, Ektachrome color positive film is so much easier to develop.
You just send it off.
No, you get your own E6 kit.
Or you get your kit or send it to Dwayne's.
Yeah. So Ektachrome, if you wanted to develop that yourself, especially still photography film, and we sell a heck of a lot of them here. We have our FPP E6 kit.
Yeah.
After all these years, Matt, this is the first year I actually cracked open the E6 kit and developed film myself.
It's a nice kit.
It's a great kit.
I haven't used, it was years between the last times I used it, but it's still very solid. The best way to do it, save up enough film to make the kit worth it, which is about 8 or 10 rolls.
The kit is much more expensive than the color negative kit.
It is, but if you have that small backlog to do, it's great.
Yeah.
I like to just use it all at once. It's the best way.
Let's take a quick break, come back, talk about new films.
Now, in case you're thinking movies are going to be expensive, well, they're not. A whole roll will cost you less than a dozen snapshots, and this camera is less than $30.
Is there someone in your family who should be in movies? There's a Kodak Instamatic movie camera that's just right for you at your Kodak dealers. The gifts that give happily ever after.
Hey, we're back. So it's not every day, Matt, that a new Super 8 film is released in the world.
Great.
This is the best time ever. It doesn't seem like it should be.
It's a little more expensive than it used to be, but...
Yeah. Relative to what it used to cost in the 80s and 70s, it's about I always say it's about the same because when I was a kid, I say to myself, oh God, why didn't I shoot more Super 8 film when I was a kid? Why did I only shoot once a year? I only shot family vacation when all my family and friends used to pile in the car, go down to Ortley Beach. Like, why didn't I shoot more? Because I couldn't afford it.
Yep.
I physically, like me with my paper routes and selling greeting cards door to door.
Oh my God.
You know, it was so expensive, and it's still expensive, but it's as expensive as it ever was. So just the fact that some new film stocks are coming out, and in front of us we have a test roll.
Yeah, from Whitner.
Yeah, from Whitner. The original WOLFEN Color 400. I've seen a lot of buzz about this film online. It's not readily available here in the U.S.
No, it was hard to get for a while after its release.
It's not really in front of me day to day because there's so much going on here.
Mm-hmm.
it's European, so it's not really front and forward here in the U.S.
Do you feel like it competes because Wolfen sounds like Wolfman?
No, I don't.
There's a curse upon me. I change into a wolf.
Don't. But I do wish that the logo art was like from the film Wolfen.
Mm-hmm.
There was a film in the 80s called Wolfen. So maybe a little werewolf design would
I know, right?
hurt. UN54 is available at the FPP. If it's sold out right now, it will be back in stock. The Wolfen Color 400, this I think is that tungsten, does it say?
No, this is
daylight.
It's a daylight C41. So it actually says it's ECN2 or C41, and it states an ISO range on here, 250 to 400. So this was a film that in 35 millimeter, Trev Lee shot a little bit of.
Oh,
and
okay.
he has a really good comparison blog up on the Darkroom.
Okay.
Because this is the NC400 in the stills world, but they also released it in 16, very limited, and then now this. But it is a more muted kind of like color palette. I would call this it's kind of like a different Metropolis looking film.
But Metropolis is off kilter regarding color.
Yeah,
this gives you more realistic color.
This is more realistic, but it's still like shifted, and it's got some grain to it. You can't be afraid of grain.
So in still photography, folks are looking at this as an alternative to 500T or alternative to CineStill. What are we looking at here?
I would say this is like a 250D alternative. It's like a very vibey 250D. You definitely want to grab a few and test it.
Yeah.
And do a color test, see how you like it. And, I think the more I shoot of cine film, because it generally is a smaller pool of films to choose from, it is so important. Like there are color tests from other filmmakers online that you can look at, but it's so important to go out and shoot it because you're going to shoot it differently. You're going to have different lighting choices, different subject choices. So go out if you have a couple friends, maybe a model, a color card, you can really find out a lot about the film just by shooting a few minutes.
Yep. So this film is available, but it's so foreign to me that they kindly sent me a roll. I'm flipping it to Matt. Matt's taking the Nizo to Columbus. He's going to shoot a test roll. I'm going to see what this looks like. We'll do a roll review.
Yeah, I'll have a color card in the shot.
Yeah. I'm always hopeful that when I bring in a new film that somehow it's cheaper than existing Kodak, but it's never the case.
Yeah, because you got to bring it in.
Yeah. Got to bring it in.
As soon as it ships overseas, that kind of erodes any savings.
So Wolfen UN54, it's a black and white film. It's
that's a really, really nice film stock, UN.
It is a nice film
that's
stock.
The 100 speed, yeah.
They give it a variable ISO. They say ISO, maybe they say 50 to
200,
50
I think.
To 100 or 200. We're sold out. I don't even have one here. But reversal / negative.
Yeah, and that's because it's got a really nice dynamic range and tighter grain. And they also have a higher speed brother to that as well. The 75?
N75?
Yeah, the 400. Yes.
That's not currently available in Super 8.
No, that's pretty grindy film stock compared to the UN54.
I've shot it.
Yeah.
It's still photography.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It was available in 16.
Yeah, so I only know this stuff because when I was looking at different 16 millimeter options, you had sent me some links to Color Lab, who used to sell it. They used to sell bulk of it, and I got the emulsion numbers from Color Lab, and then whenever you want to look at a color test, folks, there are some videos on YouTube, but Vimeo is the place to go.
Oh, is that right?
Filmmakers will put their own color tests and film stock and lens tests up on Vimeo. Now, Vimeo has changed in the last few years, so searching has gotten a little bit harder. You have to have a registered account now.
Okay.
You used to be able to just go on YouTube and just search it anonymously, but now you have to have an account. But take 5 minutes. There's some really good tests on the Orwo films from filmmakers over in the EU. And they really show you what those films are capable of with pushing, pulling. It's great.
Yes. And what folks may not know, because Matt mentioned earlier about our FPP black and white 40, films do double duty. When I say that, I mean, for example, Kodak Tri-X, In still photography, it's Tri-X 400. But in
Yeah.
motion picture photography, reversal,
Mm-hmm.
it's Tri-X 200.
Why is that?
That's because as a negative, it's ISO 400 negative. When you do the reversal chemical process, you need a lower ISO. So that Tri-X 400 becomes, same film, 200 ISO.
Now, is that only black and white films that do that?
Yes.
Or- okay. What if you tried that with color?
Oh, no. Let me think about this for a second. Once again, I only speak from experience. I only speak from my own experience. I don't claim to be like a textbook. Do your own research. I can only tell you what I know. We've tried to reverse some color films with like kind of shitty results.
Yeah, cross-processing usually gives weird stuff.
Yeah.
But I have seen, they did do that for Ektachrome, the HBO series.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it slipping by my tongue right now? But they shot Ektachrome cross-processed
As a negative.
for a negative, so they could get a smidge more out of it, and that's what they
Shot it at a higher ISO.
slightly higher. Yeah,
Okay. Gave them a very specific look.
very vibey look.
Was it called Euphoria?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, my memory's going.
So if you take like FPP Cine 840, we sell it in 8mm and 16mm. If you want to shoot it as a negative film, just shoot it at 100.
Yeah, and that still might be my favorite black and white that's
Yeah.
out there. It's just very clean.
So Orwo UN54, and the packaging is really leaving it up to you. There's no guide. It's just like, hey, this is reversal or negative.
But that can be like intimidating if you don't know these things.
Well, you're going to pop that cartridge into your automatic Super 8 camera, and your camera's going to see it as 100 ISO. So my recommendation is get it developed as a negative. But what if you got it developed as reversal? Would you have need to shoot it at 64 ISO or 50 ISO?
Yeah, so would you need a modification or something? Or
I don't know. Would you have to press that backlight button? You know what I mean?
yeah, backlight would overexpose it even
Oh.
more. So you'd have to override it with a negative exposure.
Oh, I gotcha.
Or go manual and know what the aperture is closing down to. That can be tough on these auto cameras.
So UN54 Super 8 is so new at the FPP.
We're still asking questions.
Yeah, that no film has come back of folks using FPP as developed scan. So when it comes back as developed scan, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, oh, my first thought is develop it as a negative because that'll give us the most latitude when scanning it
Yeah.
to give you a good picture. But if that customer, until we get the groove going with UN54, I have to send a message back to the customer saying, hey, are you going to project this?
How'd you shoot this? Yeah.
Yeah. How did you shoot this? Do you plan on putting this in a vintage projector? There's a bunch of question marks still looming about this film. Plus, we brought in like 20 rolls and we did a newsletter, and I should never do a newsletter at FPP without having enough stock. Like it
Oh,
just
were they gone instantly?
It was bing, gone.
Were they like limited or somebody ordered like 20?
No, I just ordered 20 because it was
Okay.
just the first batch from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think I ordered 60.
Okay.
And I also brought in the UN54 in 88.
That'll be nice. Oh, so they do 88 too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And even though we're jam-packed with black and white FPP Cine 888, people want choice.
No, options are always
Yeah.
good. Have we ever done, that could be something to do. It depends on the format, but FPP 100 versus UN 100. That'd be a good
No,
comparison.
never.
That'd be a good comparison. Because
Nope.
I bet even just some basic like outdoor shots, you'd be able to suss out the difference.
You know, I was always not an advocate for verses, but I have to tell you, Trev Lee from the darkroom.com,
He does
he's
so good with
convinced
that.
me of the verses.
No,
Like he did FPP Color 125 versus a Kodak Gold
Yeah.
200. And it allows you to kind of see like the different flavor of the
Exactly. Yeah.
the hues of color.
Yeah, and it's not that one is you're looking for a winner.
Mhm.
It's to help you figure out which one you might like more. What are you going for? And I think black and white is even more abstract for some folks. Like I would say for cine film, black and white is a very, very small minority. It's usually just film students.
I'll tell you, black and white reversal, which is, creates positive image, is so popular. It's more popular than I would ever imagine. Like every month, my batch of black and white reversal going to the lab department is it's
Do you
heavy.
think that's because there's less people offering it? Or just
No, I just think I think there's a cult out there of people who want black and white reversal film, and there's a lot more people projecting their film in a vintage projector than I acknowledge, because I don't project my film.
That's pretty cool, though.
But then you have Owen, who is a diehard projectionist.
Yes.
So Owen shoots all of his family videos, whatnot, and then he has, an old-timey 1960s, living room gathering with his family, projecting his roll of film. And he's such a projectionist that he's at the point now where he's shooting color negative and then
doing work prints
just to have something to project.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a lot of fun. And I guess, with my own personal experience of like me saying, oh, hey, I didn't have enough money to afford. I mean, that's where I think everyone's at. Like, you manage where you're going to shoot your film in the course of a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I still shoot Christmas on movie film with my family.
Yeah, it's special.
Yeah. And, with nieces and nephews, and it's a lot of fun when there's kids around. So,
yeah, I do family gatherings and vacations.
But this chat may generate a lot of questions. You could always send them podcast@filmphotographyproject.com. All the answers are out there, but if you don't know how to ask the question, you may not know. Just like this gentleman, Jerry, like he's ready to dive in, but he's not quite sure.
He came to the right place.
Yeah, I flipped him right to Owen.
Perfect.
Owen answered him via email. So, I'm pretty excited about new Super 8 film being available.
Yeah, and I'm excited to get some results, and hopefully we have a positive roll review coming out for this soon.
Absolutely. And you're going to be shooting with the NISO.
Oh, 10 out of 10, absolutely. The only thing is, like, I'm scared because I hear that when these 80s electronics bronze go, it's just, it's a brick. It's the only thing I'm scared of. It's like those the semi-automatic Rolei and Olympus cameras from the 80s. Once it goes, it goes.
I don't have any data on camera repair, by the way. And every day, a camera repair person is passing away.
Yeah, no, we're losing them faster than we're gaining them. Yeah.
So,
fingers crossed that we make it through at least the test roll.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, the fact always remains that even if you had an option for camera repair, it's cheaper to buy
just more. Yeah.
Another model on eBay.
These guys are getting up there too. So that was another reason I was like super stoked to see that you had one.
I'm not up on Super 8 cameras on the Bay.
These get crazy. The bronze.
Over a hunch?
Some of, not this model, but some of the higher end models are pushing 1,000.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I don't know if they're worth 1,000.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But so that's where these are getting to those numbers where if there is somebody that repairs them, you might want to explore if you love this camera. Yeah.
Other than the wedding you're shooting and shooting this test roll of the WOLFEN Color 400, any other motion picture plans that you have, like that you've been thinking about?
Yeah. So, I actually was doing a little bit of shooting with the Arri S, the 16 millimeter, on a residency opportunity I had down in the Hocking Hills. So it's kind of the big nature area that I've been exploring for over the last decade, near Columbus, about an hour away. And there was another artist residency opportunity where I get to stay in a log cabin for 3 weeks. And so it's close enough to home that if I have to go home, I'll head up for a while. But it's nice to have a base of operations. I'd actually never stayed overnight in that area before. It's a little bit creepy just because you're like alone really in the middle of nowhere. But it's so nice to like kind of sleep in and then go explore some familiar areas and then have time to venture out. So I did kind of like, I don't want to call it like nature doc, but just kind of documenting the experience, some views from the cabin. And I haven't completely processed and gone through everything yet, but it'd just be nice to it just is a nice thing to give the couple that's hosting the residency a fun little video they can use to kind of promo the residency, the space. They can do with it what they want, but I'll also have just a small memory of the residency and some of the work I made there. So I've been playing with that, and I'm also working. This is mostly digital, but I've got a micro doc I'm working on with my buddy Tariq. So
Okay.
this might just end up some more Super 8 might end up as like dirty BTS for some of those shoots.
You know, for B-roll, and folks, B-roll is like when you're shooting news or for a doco.
It's the silent stuff that goes over the top.
It's just shooting a lot of stuff that you add during, like, when someone's talking or during an interview.
Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect camera just to grab B-roll.
I see a lot of commercial ads either using fake or real Super 8 B-roll, just like little quick cuts.
Yep.
It's fun to drop it in. It changes things up.
It does. It gives a different look. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Any plans with the Ariflex 60mm S camera?
So,
other than the wedding,
other than the Hocking Hills thing, nothing yet. But I'm always looking out for opportunities with local film crews. So I kind of missed the window for the 48-hour film fest. That would be tough with film,
right?
But I'm always looking for little opportunities in and around.
Do you think about like local band who like has maybe could squeeze enough budget to like?
That's a tight squeeze.
I mean, really, all they need is like. I mean, it's sort of like what I've been doing with the FPP is we have a film test program.
Mm-hmm. So
someone who shoots movie film, you have to qualify for it.
Yeah.
You have to submit a form. You have to submit a reel of like, hey, I've shot this. Shane McFalls is a great example.
Oh, his stuff is so good. I love that.
So you're going to see a roll review, myself and Shane McFalls talking about. I don't get blown away very often, but it's skiing.
It's
stunts.
so well done.
And Shane is shooting on skis.
Everybody else skiing. And
everyone's skiing. He's next to them on.
He's like a K3. Yeah. So he's got this big old brick, and he's like skiing really well to keep up with like these stunts. It's awesome to see. And you can tell it's like there's a whole bunch of other filmmakers there. So some of them have their digital cine rigs.
All digital, yeah.
But like you can tell he's like the hardcore one that's like really into it. It's a
he's
great set of
focus.
Reels. He's nailing everything. Exposures are sweet. I think the black and white was some of the just the coolest stuff from that.
Because I'm always looking for. I will file my complaint every single episode of like I'm always have the task of testing film, and it's a tough task because I have no subject here. It's like
you said you're tired of the water tower.
It's me, John Fideli, Justin, Carlos, Dave, day to day, and it's like and a water tower outside, and it's like I just need like folks who are excited and interested, who can give us test film that has meat to it.
Just looks different.
Yeah. So you have to fill out a form, and you have to have some qualifications. Yeah, you have to have a few rolls under your belt in order to qualify for it.
I think having something. Thank you, by the way, for letting me borrow the Braun.
Oh, no problem.
This, but having something a little more compact like this, I think I'm going to try to start finding my way into places again with a camera, and I may have to like stay up and go to some shows or something just to get some fun B-roll footage, because this is the kind of camera that it's good to catch some backstage or cool lights.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is the kind of camera that you could have with you everywhere.
Yes.
And
hoping it works.
And if you are, if you do have a roll of 200T in there, you could actually go into a concert and shoot or like a fairly dark place.
Yeah.
And do you have little handheld light panels?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
I've got lights. Yeah, I had to get a bunch for the setting up the little YouTube studio and the dark room, so I've got some lights.
Your personal reel you shot on 16 last year was like Family Christmas?
Yes.
That came out really good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I had my little I did have a light panel for that. A little one of those little LED tube lights.
Yes.
I was just keying that off to the side.
Was that Cine 16400 black and white?
That was.
It looked really good.
So that film, I would say, for folks, if you are looking at the different FPP films to shoot, Cine 400 is a great film. If
it has light.
You have to have light on there. do not try pushing this at 1600. It needs a lot of light.
Yes.
Those shadows just go, but it can handle a ton of overexposure. So the beginning of that reel, I was over by like a stop and a half, and it looks really, really nice and clean. I still prefer the 100 because you can get a lot more. It's a really clean panchromatic film. You can get a lot of separation in it, but that 400 it's a little bit more contrasty, and that grain gets pretty gnarly once if you're in those empty shadows. So give it some light. But yeah, I plan to be shooting a lot more, and it's exciting to hear that people are. I really didn't think many people would be doing as much black and white, because as soon as I look at it and I look at the process and the cost difference, it's like, oh well, I might as well just shoot some Ektachrome.
Yeah, no, people love black and white.
That's great to hear.
Podcast at filmphotographyproject.com if you want to drop us an email. Of course, we always stream our episodes, visual or not, on YouTube. You can leave a comment down below. What did we leave out for this show? Anything?
Not really.
This show?
We kind of covered it. So there's lots of exciting new things to try, and now in the most popular movie film format, Super 8.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Check it out.
So, hey, we'll be back hopefully
next month.
Hopefully in the next month. All right, we'll see you soon.
Today's the day I find my way. Distant places, familiar faces. Time has changed us, rearranged us. Today's the day I find my way. Children sing and blossoms spring the scent of sweetness through the air, but they don't care. They've had their share. Heading north, I'm moving forth. Raise my power for every hour to equalize and mesmerize.
It's all in the past now.
Yeah?